What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Bourbon Talk. This is episode 9. Ty, Bourbon Guy. Got Paul Letgo back from Fused Spirits.
Hey,
Welcome back, man.
glad to be back, man. Yeah, we're just talking off screen. It's been a long fall so far, but we're getting, about halfway through, I guess.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that's why I messaged you earlier this morning and just said, man, like time just got away from me. And yeah, I already told you. I mean, my kid, he's a 1 year old in daycare. So, I mean, he's coming home with all types of fun
Yeah,
germs, I guess, and stuff, man. And it's like I'm a little congested now, and man, it's been crazy. So time
the
changes. I
green
told you
thing
he's
in your
teething.
hair. I don't know what the green thing is in my hair, Dad.
Right? It's like, man, and it's funny because like even at his daycare, those teachers they do such a great job, and they're constantly paying attention to these kids. But and I'm sure the times that we're in now it's a little different too. But they're just like like oh he's got a runny nose, and I'm like I don't know, he's a 1 year old, like he's gonna have a runny nose. I don't know. So Um, but yeah, no. So it's been like you said, man. It just popped up all of a sudden. It was November, so um, but yeah. So welcome back to the show. Like I said earlier, man, first repeat guest. So I appreciate you coming back on the show. We got something pretty cool to share with everybody today. But before that, how have you been?
I've been good. I think last time I was on, we were talking about our 10th anniversary release, which was really fun. Uh, Basically, already sold out. We sold out. Our distributors sold out. There might be a few bottles left here and there at retail, but that stuff, once people get a taste of it, they fall in love. So it's that's been
Yeah,
moving pretty quick.
and that
Uh,
was the 4 grain, right?
yeah, it's a 4 grain, really fun whiskey. I don't. It's great stuff, and
Yeah,
it's been really fun kind of sharing that with people, and it's been also really fun kind of getting back out into the quote scene now that most people have started coming back a little bit. It's been kind of getting back into the work world and seeing people again and trying to navigate the new realities is difficult but rewarding.
yeah. And you said you just had your first event, right? Since everything kind
Yeah.
of reopened, you said last night, right?
Yeah, I had our first event last night. Really fun, really exhausting, but really fun sitting, doing a liquor show with a couple hundred people there and pouring and talking whiskey and seeing people that I haven't seen in, at this point, people I haven't seen in 2, 3 years. Many of whom I would consider pretty good friends and just haven't seen anybody because of life. And so that was really nice. People coming in from all over the country, and it's good to be back out pouring whiskey, but you definitely get used to the exhaustion, and then I've kind of gotten unused to the exhaustion.
Right. Yeah, we were, talking before the show, man. It's like all I do is sit behind a desk and it's just, and I've had jobs where I've worked retail management, things like that, and fast food service, things like that. And it's so I've, but now all I do is sit behind a desk and to actually go into the office and put all that effort into, getting dressed, go to work, it's like, man, it's like,
I gotta
what do
work.
I do?
I
Yeah,
don't.
yeah, exactly. We actually our schedule, man, we're like in the office like 2 days a week. And there's a thing where they did like, well, let's maybe do 3. And we're like 3. Like, so it's like,
Hey,
how do we ever do 5, But uh so I could only imagine, the type of job that you have, some of that and even the events, kind of I would imagine, not only the physical toll, but probably the mental toll of, you got all these guests there and some of the questions you're getting and having to talk with everybody and all that stuff. So,
yeah,
uh,
back to the road. Like I've been. I think I counted up in the last month. I've been in something like 8 different cities.
oh,
Uh,
wow.
I've been San Diego, Orange County on one trip, Philadelphia, Champaign, Urbana, Ann Arbor. Flew back out to LA. I'm going to Grand Rapids, Michigan tomorrow. Just you're kind of getting back into the travel grind, and that's not easy either when you're an old guy like me.
Yeah. That's, man, I travel, man. I don't know. It's been one of those things. Like it's been kind of like for my job, I've had so much vacation time because it's like I haven't gone anywhere. I haven't done anything, but um, yeah, definitely getting in the swing of things. And are there? Is it pretty much just kind of like a mixed bag, or are you going places to promote few, or
Yeah,
just kind of building on
a
relationships?
little bit. Yeah, I've also been like went to go visit my daughter in college one weekend and took my the other two kids to go see two different colleges. Um, so I've seen three different universities in the last month. um, Trying to get back into normal life, it's exhausting.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we were talking too, man. It's like I don't know. I'm not. With me having a 1 year old, it's like I can't even imagine those days of taking him to college or we went on a walk one day and my wife because he's walking now and the other day I was sitting there watching football and he just like turned to his knee and just got up and walked around and I'm like where does this kid come from but and I was like kind of joking with my wife and I was like man like it just kind of hit me like one day he's gonna get married or he's gonna drive a car he's gonna do all these different things and she just like hit me like shut up what are you talking
Not
yeah
my little
it's my
kid.
baby so
My baby's not allowed to go to elementary school. My baby's
right
not
yeah.
allowed to go to middle school. They're not allowed to say "I hate you, Dad."
Right. Yeah. So, a lot of people that are tuning in tonight have watched the previous episodes, but for those that may be new, just give like a quick little deal about who you are and a few spirits. And like I said, most people kind of know, but
Sure.
take it
So
away.
yeah, Paul Hletko. I'm the founder distiller at Few Spirits. Few Spirits is a grain to glass distillery in Evanston, Illinois. We just celebrated our 10th birthday, something we're pretty proud of. We're one of the relatively early players in the burgeoning craft bourbon scene and craft whiskey scene. Something we're pretty proud of. And, in the last 10 years, we've been pretty lucky and we've been able to grow from distribution here in the Chicagoland area to we're now in 50 states, 36 countries. And we're one of the larger craft distilleries out there. We got a great
Yeah.
team.
Yeah, man. It's, it's pretty cool. I think like just even seeing you guys out, because obviously the fact that you've come on the show several times and you and I have talked several times, and everywhere I go, I'm looking and just seeing you guys, whether it's different. I know you said it's always sunny in Philadelphia. I think is where you guys were, right? Um, it's just different things, man. I don't know. I think that's cool, and it's just for the fact that we've been able to talk as much as we have, and I can only imagine what you think when you see bottles in places, but um, and even the international side, that's kind of cool too. So, um, but yeah, I mean, you guys are. It seems like everywhere, at least, and I know you guys are relatively close, so to Indy, but uh, you know, I always think that's cool, just seeing you guys out in so many different places.
No,
Um,
I think it's awesome.
versus some craft that you maybe see in certain, but not really as often everywhere.
Well, I think partially, we've kind of gotten our, word is getting out about who we are and the quality and, what we do. People get excited about it. We're relatively established, so people have seen it, and retailers have been seeing it, and then they bring it in because if you survive 10 years, there might be a reason why you survived 10 years.
Right, right,
Um, and I can tell you that for me, it's not because I get started off with such good financing. Um, um, I think it's just kind of all of the above, and then we've got a great team that's out there hustling each and every day. Whether it's the guys at the distillery or guys and girls making the whiskey back at the distillery, or the guys and girls bottling, or our sales team, our marketing team, our finance team, making sure it all happens every day. Making sure that the farmers get paid for the grain and all that. It takes a whole team to be able to do all this, and it's exciting to be kind of a part of this fantastic team doing cool stuff like our 10th anniversary, and then our new product that we just literally launched yesterday. Basically the hottest off the presses you can get. We just started launching our first bottled and bond product with a bottled and bond bourbon. Something we're again really proud of, and as bottled and bond kind of takes over bourbon internet and the bourbon aficionado community, we're pretty proud that we can play a part in that and bring more bonded whiskeys into the market.
yeah. I think so. I've actually done an episode. talking about bottled and bond. Yeah, there it is, man. Yeah, and I have
Mm.
a bottle here as well. So I love it, man. It's always funny because like when you guys do so many different things, and I probably don't pay as much attention to other brands' labels, but when I knew you guys were having the bottled and bond coming out, I'm like, I was so interested in the label. I was like, what are you guys going to do with it? And I love the fact that it looks very similar to the straight. I mean, and we talked about this earlier. I mean, it is, uh, but just altering it just a little bit, I think was really cool.
Yeah, we want people to know it's the same, for lack of a better word, genetics.
Hmm.
Uh, the same mash bill, it's the same yeast, same fermentation, same everything. But most of our whiskeys get bottled at 93 proof because, well, A, I like it at 93 proof, and B, it's in honor of the 1893 World's Fair in Chicago, which is the source of all the iconography, such as, the Statue of the Public right there.
Yeah,
Uh, so, going to 100 proof is kind of a breach against our kind of brand architecture. I'm sure marketing people can talk a lot more intelligently about that stuff than I can because I'm not an intelligent guy. I make whiskey. Um, but I've always liked trying to keep that consistent 93. But you our whiskey is bottled and bond, so
right.
we just had to do it at 100 proof, and then like we were talking beforehand. Um, I don't like the distilling season rule for bottled and bond, but whether I like it or not, it's the rule.
That's the
So
rule.
you know,
Yeah.
um,
Well, you put it
I,
pretty good, man. Because obviously, I just never really thought of it in that sense. I know we kind of run through the rules of bottled and bond, right, and just kind of, it is what it is. But thinking that there's a lot of things that you can do with the blending side, but that bottled and bond kind of takes that out with the distilling season.
right. So I mean, just say for example, you wanted to release a 4-year whiskey. Okay, that's great. But in that 4-year whiskey, you can blend barrels from say January and September. You can't do that with bottled and bond. It has to all
Hmm.
be from the same distilling season, January to June and July to December. Um, so, I think a lot of people in the whiskey world have gotten convinced that bottled and bond is some sort of a sign of quality, which it's not. I mean, certainly it means certain things, but as far as it being a badge of quality, nothing says quality like the brand that's in the brand. I mean, so if the
Yeah,
quality you, that's what you need, or whatever bottled and bond brand you have, uh, the quality is based on the brand, not the words bottled
right.
and bond.
I mean, and I was thinking about that too, man. Like, what do you think that's? I mean, is it? I know that there's so many people getting into whiskey, and I think that's awesome. But is it one of those things where they learn the term bottled and bond, and then they think, you know what I mean? Like they think that's quality right off the bat.
Sorry.
Bless you.
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to look back in the world historically too. It's like when the Bottled and Bond Act came in 1890. I know I'm blanking 4 or 6, I forget. Um, the world was a little bit different then, and you know having a rule like the whiskey had to be stored in a bonded warehouse was important because it meant that the distiller couldn't mess with it. Well, in 2021, all of our whiskey is in a bonded warehouse because if it's not in a bonded warehouse, you owe taxes on it the second it leaves bond. So all whiskey is in a U.S. government bonded warehouse. It would be financially stupid not to. So every drop of whiskey comes out of a bonded warehouse. I don't think people are messing with whiskey in warehouses. Certainly, I don't know if they were back in the 1890s or not, but they certainly are not now. So, I get a lot of people say, "Oh, well, because it comes out of a bonded warehouse, it must be great." Uh, that's not really what that means. That just means that you got to delay paying the taxes on it until you came out of bond.
Right. Yeah, I think and there's a lot of viewers on this that watch this show that are new to whiskey, and I think one of the things for me, especially now, kind of looking back on my journey, is there's all these terms, and I think the thing I would encourage a lot of people to do, is when you find out, a small. I actually got asked about this, a few days ago. Small batch, it's like, okay, well, that's got to be better, right? Small, and so that's just one of those. Yeah, I mean,
Small batch
small batch
doesn't
for one is different from another. I mean, so there's so many things that there's different terms and there's different things. Now, bottle and bond actually has, like you said earlier, rules that go along with it versus a small batch. Um, but the thing that I say is like, I understand that that's those stories of these things were the way it was. It was very unsafe for consumers back in the 1800s from the stories we've heard. But like you said, now I could be wrong. I don't know, but I don't feel like those practices are in place anymore. So now I'm starting to wonder if even though there are set rules, I'm starting to wonder if bottle and bond is almost kind of like almost going in that category of small batch or something like that, to where it's on the label, people see it and think it's better.
It does mean I mean, obviously, it does in fact mean something. You can't say it doesn't. There's very stringent rules for it. The
Mm-hmm.
question is where those rules mean that it makes it a quality product or not, and the rules are there. I think a lot of people just simply think that bottle demand means 4 years but it's 4 years. It's 100 proof. Is the whiskey better at 100 proof than it would be at say 101 or 99?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe. Is there something magic about 100 proof? I don't know. Distilling season. Yeah, I mean, I do think there's something magic about everything being under one distillery. I think that matters.
Right.
I think that's kind of cool. And so, for us, all of our whiskey comes out of one distillery because we're grain to glass. So it
Right.
doesn't mean anything for my brand, but it might mean something from a lot of other brands. Hint, hint, hint.
Right.
Um, and it's nice that you have to have the information on the back. You have to have the DSP on the back. Okay, that's kind of cool. Gives you less to hide behind. Hint, hint, hint. Um, but this it's unfortunate there's so much smoke and mirrors in the whiskey business, but so for a guy like me that's always very upfront and honest and does business with full integrity, it's frustrating that we have to deal with all the shysters and the fraudsters in the business. But such is life, man. That's how it goes sometimes.
Yeah, I don't. Just as a whiskey enthusiast, I don't know that there's ever been that I could think of off the top of my head. I don't know that there's ever been a brand that I've had their bottled in a bond and liked that, but not liked some of their other offerings. It's kind of I enjoy especially all the creative ones you all do, the cold cut and the immortal. I think I love the American whiskey. All these different ones that you all do that are so creative. I enjoy a few, you know, whiskey in general. So I would assume that I would like the bottle and bond. Doesn't always work that way, but I think from the bottle and bonds that I know, I typically like other products coming out of that distillery.
Yeah, as
I
well you
don't know
should.
that there's ever been where I didn't like anything out of that distillery, and I love the bottle and bond. I don't know that that's ever.
Yeah, it can be
Uh,
bad whiskey that's bottled and bond, and putting the words bottled and bond on the label doesn't magically make it great. That said, I'm really proud of the whiskey we have here in this bottle. Yeah, I'm proud of the whiskey we put in all of our bottles, and I'm really proud that we have something that's labeled bottled and bond. You know, it is a great whiskey, and that is what matters.
yeah,
Uh, the way this label looks doesn't matter as much as the way it looks and tastes in the glass.
right,
Because that's always the judge. It doesn't matter what it looks like. How does it taste? Who cares about everything else? If it
yeah,
tastes good, drink it. If you don't
right,
like it, it doesn't matter if it's bottled and bond or not bottled and bond or straight or not straight. Or if you don't like it, who cares if it's bourbon, scotch, Irish, rye, Japanese, whatever. If you don't like it,
right.
who cares?
Yeah, I was really interested. There was a bottle that I had, or a pour that I had over the weekend, and it's a particular bottle that a lot of people talk about that I just never tried it, and the proof on it was pretty low, but it was just really spicy. Like for me, to me it was one of those ones that drank like it was over 100 something, but it was very low. Um, and it's one that I've heard so many people talk about, and the people that I'm drinking with, it's one of those things where I kind of think you kind of have this notion beforehand, like, oh, it's supposed to be whatever, and then you take a sip, and then it's like you're almost like trying to convince yourself that it's good, and so for me it was like, this is just not for me. It may be for somebody else, but this one's not for me. So I don't know. I think, I'm really excited to see so many people get into whiskey. I just kind of wish that there was more people like yourself that are honest and open about what your thoughts are, what's going on with, the distilleries or whatever it may be. I think
Yeah.
sometimes that can, there's a lot of misinformation out there, and different things, and people kind of grasp onto it, and especially some of these groups.
If
Um,
you're new to whiskey, welcome. Don't be intimidated. It's whiskey. This isn't rocket science. Please come in, play around, see what you like. Don't listen to everybody else telling you that you have to like X, Y, or Z, or you have to drink your whiskey in this particular way. Otherwise, you know, whatever the bad thing that's going to happen if you do that, don't worry about it. Drink your whiskey, enjoy it, play around, and see how you like it.
yep,
And if you are the more experienced whiskey person, please welcome people into whiskey. Um, remember, you used to not know what you were talking about either.
that's right. Yeah.
And did you feel good? Would you have felt good about whiskey if the experienced drinker had sat and talked down to you or told you that you couldn't do this or couldn't do that? Nobody likes that. That's just don't
Right.
gatekeep.
Yeah, I've told the story before, but like back when football, when I first started lifting weights for the first time ever, and I go in there and there's these massive guys, and they're and I'm just like, I'd never lifted weights before, and I remember, you kind of like, oh, man, I'm weak, and I remember some of the biggest guys there coming up to me saying, hey, we all started there, like we all started somewhere, and
Mhm.
that kind of stuck with me. And now that I'm involved in bourbon, as an enthusiast, it's I kind of just always keep that in mind of we all started somewhere. I mean, so there's a lot of whiskeys that I personally started out drinking, and maybe I mixed them, maybe I, drinking them on the rocks or whatever it may be. And now that I'm, kind of involved, I see so many people kind of badmouth a lot of this, and I'm like, well, they must have done something right because it got me to keep going, and it got a lot of people to keep going. So
If you're new, welcome. Please have a good time. Enjoy. Um, Whiskey's supposed to be fun.
yeah, for
Enjoy it.
sure. Well, and like you said, man, as pretty as the bottle is, so this just actually came out yesterday, right? You said,
Yeah,
or
released yesterday finally. You've been working on it for a while. You can already purchase it at our DTC website, buyfewspirits.com, if you don't see it on your local stores. Otherwise, ask for it at your local stores.
all right, yeah. So as awesome as that bottle looks, like you
Time to
said,
drink.
what matters is tasting it. So we're gonna try it. And I actually poured the 93 proof as well to kind of compare. But so for everybody watching, I've actually opened this up and poured it earlier so that it has time to open up a little bit here. Yeah, man, I see what you're saying about, obviously it's same. What did you say? It's same recipe. Is that how you
Genetics,
worded it?
the genetics are identical.
Genetics are, yep. Um, but I actually like that. I like the bump in the proof. So let's try the 93.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, certainly high proof whiskeys are a thing right now, or higher proof whiskeys are a thing right now. Um, and going to 100 is nice. You do get a much more rich flavor. You do get a deeper. You do get that depth of character, that depth of flavor, especially with a
Mhm.
few, because I think our ABV really carries the flavor with minimal amounts of burn.
Right.
So you get an increased mouthfeel, and the richness is there and the depth is there because it's 100 proof versus 93. But the genetics are the same.
Yeah, it's like yeah, I like that a lot. But I'm also that's kind of like my one of my in my favorite range. I know a lot of people, like to say something that's 135 proof, and I drink it neat all the time, and but for most of the time, it's like for me, it's I kind of like hanging out in that range. Um, but that's good. I mean, I just mentioned, there's another brand out there that is lower proof, but it drinks so hot that whereas this 100 proof I think is still very approachable, um, and adds. It's not just so that what I always say with whiskey. I'm the same way with food. So I don't mind spicy food, but if it adds flavor to it, then I'm okay with it. I don't like hot just to be hot.
Yeah, same, same.
Yeah, so I'm kind of the same with whiskey. It's like if it's bringing more depth of flavors and or just enhancing those flavors that are already there with the higher proof, then I'm cool with that. But if it's hot just just to be hot and see how high of a proof of whiskey I could drink, then that's just not for me.
Yep.
Um, but
Well,
this is
I
actually
love
really good, man.
buffalo wings, but, I love buffalo wings when they get crazy hot. It's like, okay, this isn't fun. I
Right,
wanna eat the wings. I wanna have fun when I eat my wings.
right,
I
yeah.
don't think it's when I'm sweating and, fumbling around for a glass of milk. I feel
Sorry.
like
Okay, so we always some of the viewers we have this debate all the time. I feel like, but I'm a ranch guy. I guess
mm,
maybe that works because I'm in Indiana now. But are you ranch blue cheese or do you go no sauce or no? I guess side sauce or dipping sauce.
honestly, I like both, and I'll flip back and forth. I love blue cheese. I love that funk. I love that smell and that deep but ranch is ranch, man. There's a reason why it's popular.
Yeah,
Ranch is good.
yeah. I actually had not too long ago. My sister-in-law actually came over to our house, and there's a really popular wing place in Indy. If you're ever here anytime soon, you should definitely hit it up, man. It's really good. And I called the order in, and she's gonna go pick it up, but I was the one calling the order in, so and their ranch is made in house, very good.
Nice.
So I actually I told the guy I wanted extra ranch, and he's like, "Well, how much extra?" And I said, "Put so much that when she picks it up, she's like surprised at how much ranch is in this bag." And so they actually gave her like a mason jar full of ranch. Uh, yeah, she came over and she pulled it out. She's like, "I could tell you ordered this because because of the ranch." But
Yeah, ranch
uh,
is good, man. There's a reason why it's popular.
yeah, yeah, for sure. So one of the questions came in: What food do you like to pair with your whiskey?
I think a lot of it, like at least for me, my food and whiskey pairings are gonna, roll back and forth. Of course, obviously the classics, your steaks, your barbecue, and those are just that's just kind of that's just a good book, man. That's like that's what it's made for. That big, rich, big, bold flavors, like a steak with some pepper on there, some pulled pork. Yeah, man, you're doing it well there. But I'll tell you what, man, you get that right whiskey, you can pair that with you can pair it off with fish, you can pair it off with some desserts. You can pair it with pasta if you want. I mean, I don't think there's necessarily a wrong way. And I think that's partially the joy of whiskey is that you can serve it so many different ways, ranging from, certainly neats to your on the rocks, but at the same time, you can also get out there and you can cocktail with it and you can do really cool pairings with food and cocktails. So, add in bitter notes to play around with that, or add in some sweet notes and add a little bit of, add some honey to your whiskey. And now you've got a more of a dessert style. Um, there's so much you can do with the whiskey to play with flavor. And because you have that great, fantastic, intense flavor from that, 40 to 50% ABV, those that big rich flavor, you can pair it with big stuff, add some water, and you can pair it down, you can pair it up with some softer stuff as well. It's whiskey and food are really made to go together, even if everybody wants to talk about wine and beer pairings of food. I think whiskey is even better.
Yeah, I think, but it's like what I always find with whiskey in that particular question is I'll tell people that I've gotten to a point in my own whiskey journey of hey, I really whether it's because I'm eating something or because I'm just sitting around the house, but it's like I want few bottled and bond tonight,
Mhm.
and I have that craving for that, and or I'm eating something and it's like, hey, I know I want few bottled and bond to go with it. And when I've said that to people, I think they're almost like surprised because they're like, the fact that I can taste the differences between whiskeys, whereas, people that may not be familiar with whiskey, it's just whiskey. I'm I guess what surprises me the most about that is, like you said, people pair beer and wine all the time, all
Oh,
these
it's
different.
great. They work well together. I'm not I'm not
Right.
talking shit about beer and wine pairing.
But with whiskey, it's like, what do you mean you pair, it's whiskey. It all tastes like whiskey. Um,
We had I had a pear tart or a crumble or, the other night, and it was perfect with few bourbon because you get these nice little kind of subtle fruit flavors in the bourbon, but you get that big, rich, full, but not sugar sweet, but that big fruit sweet dessert. And man, it went great with it went great with some bourbon, I'll tell you what.
yeah, we actually, with having a 1 year old, I mean, we haven't really gone out too often. And then, lately like this past weekend, we got a chance to go out and went to a really nice steakhouse. Um, and I mean, I typically drink whiskey neat, but when I go out, I really enjoy cocktails just because I suck at making cocktails. So it's like I get ginger beer and lime or lemon juice or something and throw, simple syrup when I'm at home. But when I go out, I mean, there's, a lot of places that do amazing cocktails. And, um, so I was like, man, I'm out. Let's go. So I got a Manhattan for the first time and I don't know how long. And I had it with that steak and it was just like, man, like even just the pairings, you just kind of remember it's like, oh, this is what that was like, so
It's funny. We were discussing this yesterday with on a panel discussion about whiskey and cocktails and so on. And after the last 18 months or 20 months, whatever it's been, there's a lot of people have been sitting at home, and a lot of people did like the at home cocktail classes and so on. And so people are home cocktailing. And when you talk to bartenders now, it's really interesting talking to them because you think that people are going to be coming in and being all angry, like, oh, I can do this better at home. And instead, people are coming in going, man, I make Manhattans at home. Make me the best Manhattan I've ever had because I'm not good at it, and I know you are. You're a professional. Um, so it's like, on the one hand, people are treating bartenders with more respect. On
mhm.
the other hand, people are coming in and getting a little cross with serving sizes because bartenders are serving them actual drinks, and people are used to home pouring themselves a
Compared to
shot.
my big gulp cup that I, yeah, dump everything in.
Yeah, they're serving you an ounce and a half or 2 ounces of whiskey, and you're used to pouring yourself an 18-ounce Manhattan.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
you
and then
take
also mine's already paid for versus paying, however much per drink, but,
Yep.
no, man, that was one of the things, like, I actually, my wife and I just celebrated our wedding anniversary, and, we went to just kinda stayed around downtown Indianapolis, and there's a bourbon bar out there and that we before everything shut down we loved going there, and so now that it's opened back up we wanted to go support them, um and they do a lot of craft cocktails and things like that, and um really cool there, and I went there and it's just like, I mean, for really any place, but that place, like I always sit up at the bar and then they're doing everything and I'm watching them and it's, they're lighting stuff on fire, and I'm just like, man, it's so cool, but like I said, it's a lot different from being at home with my ginger beer or lemon juice. So um, I think it's more appreciation for the craft of
Mhm.
it. I kind of wondered, like you were saying, I kind of wondered, like, because people were looking at so many videos and now that everybody's a professional, if it would kind of be the opposite of going into a place and I know how to make it. So why am I going to pay this person to? But I'm glad to hear for the most part, it's kind of people have appreciated it more. It seems like.
Yeah, I mean, it cuts both ways, of course, but it is nice to hear the people Pete. You hear so many stories about people abusing other people out there in the world these days, and it's been really nice hearing stories of people treating others with kindness and respect.
Yeah, what a
It's
concept,
much
right?
nicer. It's so much nicer.
so so this just came out yesterday. You said you've already sold out of the 4 grain.
Yeah, 4 grain sold out. This is out right now. Just released yesterday. It's our bottled and bond bourbon available at buyfewspirits.com as well as retailers everywhere. Ask for it by name.
And so I know Few itself is in 50 states. Is this offered in like pretty much with the same distribution, or is it?
It's currently kind of limited to a lot of our more major markets as it continues to roll out. So Illinois, New York, Florida, California, Texas, uh, DC, Maryland, Colorado, um, like kind of the bigger whiskey markets, Massachusetts, Julio's. I think Indiana's probably getting some. So you'll probably find it, at like your Big Reds or like your Story Company or, um, 21st Amendment or up in Wisconsin. Um, and then I think we're hitting some of Michigan too. I know I'm going up there tomorrow talking about stuff.
Yeah, I think most of our viewers come from, well, I mean Indiana, but then some Colorado, Texas, Virginia. Um, Texas is a big one. Do you, well, yeah, I mean I know you have distribution everywhere, but is it just some of the major cities in Texas, or
Yeah, I mean, obviously, with a smaller brand like ours, we're going to be a lot better in the bigger cities where there's more people.
right?
So you're talking about your DFWs, your Houston, your certainly your Austin. Austin's blessed with some great stores, especially like Austin Shaker. You get some fantastic places all over the great state of Texas, but small brands like mine might be a little bit tougher to find in the small town in Texas. Same way it's gonna be hard to find in a small town in Illinois.
Sure. So it sounds like their best bet really right now is just to go to buyfewspirits.com, right? Is that the
Great bet, but ask at your local retailer too. We love our
okay?
local retailers.
Okay.
Don't be shy to go in and support them. Just ask for what you want. If they
Yep.
don't have it, they can probably get it. And don't go in there abusing them, asking them for, oh, how come we don't have any Pappy? Uh, be respectful, be kind. And again, as you talk about trying to be respectful and kind to people, when you are respectful and kind, you might be surprised how quickly people find that stuff you're looking for. How
Yep.
much easier it is for them to bring in few spirits if you don't come yelling at them.
Right. Yeah, it's one of those things. Like I've built up a really good relationship with a local store here, and and I think some of the chains are a little harder because there's somebody maybe managing that store that maybe has a you know because there's times where I've gone in and there's certain with everything that I get a chance to do, I can see something that's not here yet, and I'm like, hey, you guys really need to look into it. I mean, it's solid, a solid product, and seems like a lot of people are really enjoying it. And certain places I've gone to, it's like, who's this guy?
Sure.
Um,
Well, I
but
mean, in Indiana, you got great stores. You have Big Red is killer.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
they're a little bit stronger, a little bit south of you, but Vine and Table. I mean, I know they
hmm
just got bought by Big Red, but it is still
yeah,
Vine and Table.
yeah,
21st Amendment. There's a bunch of great chains. Cap and Cork up in the north.
hmm
Indiana's got some great retailers for sure.
yeah, yeah. And the store that I was able to build a pretty good relationship with, I mean, they follow me on social media and they're very supportive. And not only has it gotten to a point now where if I go in and say, you guys need to find Few Bottled and Bond, I mean, they'll, like you said, I mean, just because of I've talked about this too, building that relationship I think is so important, because not just going in there asking for pappy or plans or whatever, um but and it's one of those things like I always get the question of like, what's your favorite whiskey and stuff like that. And I hate answering that question because there's just there's so many variables for me. But if I may think one's okay, but if I'm going to them and saying, I think you guys need to start selling this, then it's like, okay, yeah, this must be one that, like I'm definitely gonna mention the bottle and bond and see if they can get that. But
And think about it
uh
from the perspective of the retailer too. And the world of whiskey is huge. The
mhm,
world of bourbon is huge. And that's cool, but that's one shelf in their store.
right,
Also have to know what's going on in the world of vodka and in gin and in rum and tequila. There's a lot going on in the tequila world and mezcal. And now you got Sotol coming up and you got Raicilla coming up. And we haven't even started talking about what's going on in the world of beer or the world of wine.
right,
And they have more going on than they can possibly keep up with because as awesome as they are, they're people and there's
right,
not so much you can do. So,
right,
when you've got people coming in saying, hey, you guys, do you guys have the Few Bottled and Bond? I'm a customer. You see me coming in here once a week, twice a month, whatever it is. I want this product. they're gonna take note of that and go, "Oh, okay, I missed this because I'm a fucking person and I missed the name."
Right. Right, 'cause I'm human. Well,
I'm
that's
like,
where I think, I like I said, I just think having that relationship, if I go into a store I've never been in, they don't know me, I don't know them, and I say something, it's like, "Okay, yeah, we'll make a note of it,"
yeah,
right?
right on it.
But when I have that relationship, I was just in there the other day, and there was a particular one that I talked about, and, um, they were just like, "Yeah, we probably just overlooked ordering more," or something, and so,
It happens.
but you go into their store and they have, like, a wall of whiskey. So, yeah, I would imagine that they overlook some because I mean, there's like you said, there's so many to keep up with. Um, but I think that that's where it's really cool that they trust me too, okay, this is one that he's recommending or looking into or whatever the case is. And um, I don't know, man, those relationships have seemed to really help me uh, in a lot of situations.
Yeah, I
Um,
love mezcal. If you're looking for a good mezcal, I I can't read that 'cause I'm too fucking old. But
he
uh,
said he had a smoked cinnamon old fashioned. Okay, then he had the mezcal, and it was no joke that he had in Mexico. I guess
yeah,
he probably was a little stronger there.
yeah, no, mezcal's awesome. And talk about a wide world. I mean, mezcal's all over the place with smoky and not smoky, and clay pot and wood pot and copper pot, and oh my god, there's so much to learn about mezcal. And I know enough to be dangerous and to hurt myself, but not enough to be an expert. You know, but I know it's a huge world of mezcal.
Right. So for everybody that I know a lot of people tuned in last time. Last time you were here, we talked about the 10-year anniversary. So congrats again, by the way.
Hey,
That Few Spirits has been around. Today we talked about the Bottled and Bond that was just released yesterday. So make sure you guys check out buyfewspirits.com and your local retailer as well. So we did hit on this a little bit last time, but now that we kind of, uh, it's been a few weeks. So what's next, man? Now that the
no,
bottle and bond is out.
yeah, we're pushing the bottled and bond, and that's what we're talking about. That we'll have our bottled and bond rye. Will come out some point next year. We're in the process of switching all of our single barrels to be single barrel bottled and bond as well. Um, the only reason our single barrels are not currently bottled and bond is because they're bottled at 101 proof. So now we're going to bottle at 100 proof, and you get bottled and bond.
Right.
Um, that's what we hear people want. So here you go, guys.
Right.
Uh, so we're excited about that, and then we're always excited about the other stuff. So we're always working on new projects and trying to spin up and create new flavors and what we can do to pursue this creative itch that we all have. And you know, I say all of us at the distillery, none of us are there for the money. We're there for the art, and we're there to create. And so it's really important to us to never forget that. Yes, it's a job, but we really want it to be a fun job, and creating and making is what makes it that for us, because that's what we love, is making stuff. And so, yeah, the single barrels and bottled and bond bourbon and bottled and bond rye. But we're also excited about a rock band collaboration we got coming out with Black Rebel Motorcycle Club. That's been a real fun project to work on. We're coming up on a year and a half of working on it now. Um, that's how it goes sometimes.
Yeah, I think it's well, knowing that you're a musician too, man. That's like I feel like I can see it in the whiskey, just the creativeness and the thinking outside the box and all the things that you all do at Few is amazing. I think it's really cool to see that, and it's I don't know the cold cut or the immortal and just some of these different things that you all have done. It's just to me, it's you're thinking outside the box. You're doing things nobody at that time had done.
Well, I mean, we're
um,
not, we're not in Kentucky. We're not beholden to the way we've been doing things for 140 years. We can do things the way we want to do it because we're a new company. Yes, we're relatively established now, but we remain a young upstart. And so we really enjoy that creative freedom to pursue our passions. Um, and it's exciting. I was talking with my kind of head distiller this morning. this afternoon, whenever it was, doesn't matter, about a project that he and I have been working on together for, I think we're coming up on 4 years, and it's probably 10 years from being released. But that's the joy, is like working on this long range stuff and having that freedom to experiment and that freedom to play, because that's what's rewarding. It ain't about the money, although money does help. Please buy at buyafewspirits.com.
There you go.
Um, but, uh, it's that creation that really gets us going and keeps us going. It is a business. This is how we all pay rent and feed ourselves. But we're here for the art and we're here for the passion.
Yeah, I think it's like I said, as just as a consumer, I think especially now when I go into that store and there is that wall of whiskey, you know, okay, bourbon, 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 right? And then I come across, well, what's cold cut? What does that mean? Okay, well, they cut theirs with cold brew coffee, and or it's like, to me, that's just, I don't know. I don't know if that's by design, but that's just as a consumer, I think it's really cool because, and not just that, there's a lot of other products that are very unique. And I think sometimes when there's just this wall of whiskey, I think it's really cool to have products that stand out and you can kind of see the why behind a distillery. I think that's really cool too. So, um, but yeah, man, I know you guys are on social media.
Yep.
So
At Few Spirits. You can find us at Few Spirits all across all of your social medias. And obviously keep on listening here to Ty the Bourbon Guy, because that's where you're going to get the real scoop on the bourbon world.
that's right.
Uh, but don't be afraid to check us out at Few Spirits across all the internets.
Yeah, man. And so yeah, make sure you guys check out this bottle and bond. I really like this product. Um, yeah, I'm gonna once we get off air, I'm gonna enjoy another one here. So uh, hopefully the kid won't wake me up in the middle of the night, teething, so I can actually enjoy it. But
Yeah.
yeah, who knows? Like you said, there'll be a point where I wish he would wake me up teething.
Yep.
So um, but no, man, I appreciate you coming back on the show. Really excited to see everything going on with Few. Make sure everybody that you're following Few on all the social media platforms, and we'll see you next time. Everybody else that's watching next week, 8 o'clock Eastern, Tuesday, same time, same day. I will see you next week on Bourbon Talk. Have a good night.
See ya.